daughter came to live with me after years of neglect and suffering. Now she's been diagnosed with leukemia. Feeling terrified. So, here's the thing. My name's Joseph, and I've been through some shit. But nothing compares to what my daughter, Zuzana, has been through. Her mom, Jana, and I split up when Zuzana was just a toddler. Long story short, Jana took full custody, and I was a young, clueless idiot who didn't fight hard enough to stay in her life. Biggest regret of my life. Fast forward 15 years, Zuzana's now a teenager, and I hadn't seen her in over a decade. Jana's life took a nosedive. Drugs, abusive relationships, the whole 9 yards. I got a call out of the blue from Zuzana herself, saying she couldn't take it anymore and asking if she could come live with me. Of course, I said yes. My heart broke hearing her voice so full of pain and desperation. I was terrified but determined to be the dad she needed. When she arrived, she was a shadow of the vibrant little girl I remembered. She was thin, pale, and had this constant look of fear in her eyes. It was like she was expecting the world to fall apart at any moment. I promised myself I'd make it right, no matter what it took. Zuzana and I had a lot of catching up to do. It was awkward at first. She was practically a stranger, but I wanted so badly to be the dad she deserved. We spent a lot of time just talking, about anything and everything. I learned about her favorite books, her dreams, and her fears. She was so damn smart and resilient, despite everything she'd been through. I got her into a decent school, and she started to settle in. Slowly, she began to open up more. We'd watch movies together, go for walks, and sometimes just sit in comfortable silence. It felt good, like we were finally becoming a family. But then things took a turn. Zuzana started feeling tired all the time. She was getting bruises from the slightest bumps and had frequent nosebleeds. I thought it was stress at first. But then one day, she fainted at school. I rushed her to the hospital, my heart in my throat. The waiting room was pure hell. I sat there, helpless, as doctors ran tests on Zuzana. Hours felt like days. Finally, a doctor called me in and gave me the news that shattered my world. Leukemia. My daughter had fucking leukemia. I could barely process it. I wanted to scream, cry, punch something. But I had to stay strong for Zuzana. When I told her, she just stared at me, numb. "Am I going to die, Dad?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I hugged her tight, trying to hold back my tears. "No, Zuzka. We're going to fight this. You're not alone." We started treatment immediately. Chemo, endless doctor visits, the whole brutal routine. Zuzana was a fighter, though. She faced every challenge with a bravery that left me in awe. But there were nights when she'd break down, and I'd hold her while she cried, feeling utterly helpless. Chemo was hell. Zuzana lost her hair, her appetite, and at times, her will to fight. There were days she couldn't get out of bed, too weak and sick to move. Watching her suffer was the hardest thing I'd ever experienced. I'd sit by her bedside, trying to stay positive, but inside, I was falling apart. Her friends from school rallied around her, showing more maturity and compassion than most adults. They'd visit, bringing homemade cards, little gifts, and most importantly, laughter. It was incredible to see the way they lifted her spirits, even on her worst days. One night, Zuzana asked me if I believed in God. I was caught off guard. "I don't know, sweetheart." "Maybe," I replied. She looked so lost. I don't understand why this is happening. What did I do wrong?" My heart broke into a million pieces. "You didn't do anything wrong, Zuzka. Life is unfair sometimes, but we're going to get through this. Together." Months passed in a blur of hospital visits, treatments, and sleepless nights. Zuzana's condition was touch and go, but she kept fighting. Her doctors were cautiously optimistic, but I was terrified of hoping too much. Every little setback felt like a punch to the gut. Then we got a glimmer of hope. Her latest tests showed significant improvement. The doctor said she was responding well to treatment. It wasn't a cure, but it was the best news we'd had in months. I wanted to celebrate, but there was a voice in the back of my mind, warning me not to get too excited. One evening, Zuzana and I were sitting on the porch, watching the sunset. She turned to me, her eyes full of determination. "Dad, I'm going to beat this. I want to live. I want to do all the things we talked about." I felt a surge of pride and fear. "I know you will, Zuzka. You're the strongest person I know. We still have a long road ahead, and I'm scared every single day. But seeing my daughter fight with such courage gives me strength. We're taking it one day at a time, holding on to hope, and facing our fears together. Life threw us a curveball, but we're not backing down. Not now. Not ever."